The greatest grunge band. That's a good one.
Greatest grunge band.
The greatest grunge band.
What's up? You know, Social Distortion.
Who?
Social Distortion.
Social Distortion, a grunge band.
Wouldn't that be good?
Nirvana.
Nirvana.
I don't know, man. That's either Nirvana or Soundgarden. There are a lot of people like to talk shit on Nirvana. It's like, you know, that's the greatest thing about rock and roll is you don't actually have to be good at instruments to write good songs. You know, Nirvana, not good at instruments, great at writing songs. Soundgarden, good at writing instruments, good at writing songs. Good at playing instruments, whatever.
We just got the opportunity to see Pearl Jam again. They came through our town, and to this day, somebody's like, they're like my generation's Rolling Stones at this point because they just never die, and they have never been terrible. They've never been bad live. I listen to a lot of Pearl Jam radio because they play a lot of the live concerts, and that was how I got through the pandemic. Trying to get that live bug, but for me, it's Pearl Jam.
Again, the same thing. What is grunge, really? If you think Alice in Chains would be a grunge band, which I don't think they ever were, well, since they came from Seattle, that scene, if you consider them grunge, it's one of my favorite bands ever. But I wouldn't say they're grunge. I have no idea. It's not my genre.
Nirvana. Kurt Cobain he's my top 5 favorite guitar players of all time. You know, I love rhythm guitar players because I'm a rhythm guitar player. You know, I like simple riffs, but catchy, has that unattainable special sauce to it. You know, it's like what is that? It's like, it's something, you can put your finger on it. It's like, Kurt Cobain's like, he's my guy. You know, I read a lot of his books, his interviews. I'm just fascinated with that guy, you know.
And for me, obviously like Pearl Jam, obviously Soundgarden, obviously Nirvana, but we were just talking about Alice in Chains' Dirk. This is the 30th anniversary this year, which is crazy. Oh God, I feel old. But yeah, Alice in Chains is always, I think the one that I just kind of end up going to. They're like my go-to night. I think just because Lane Staley is, it's hard to choose though, because like obviously Eddie Vedder is actually, like, out of those major 4, he's the only singer that's still here.
Still left, yeah.
I think it's Nirvana. I think that if we think of there's before Nirvana and after Nirvana, like when we think about music, there's Nirvana was like the career killer band for the bands that didn't catch the grunge train. And I think that when I think of music in that way, when I think of heavy music, that there was post Nirvana, and then there was everything that happened after. So all you have to do is hear the drums kick in, and then your career's gone. I would have been that. I would have been one of the hair metal bands that got my ass kicked by Nirvana too. So
it's tough because I don't want to. This band is definitely grungy, but I like Alice in Chains like a lot, and I feel like they do fall in the grunge category. I mean, most people would say like Nirvana or something like that, but I feel like Alice in Chains is a little bit more like rock and rolly, but they do have that grungy like kind of feel and grit. So I would say Alice in Chains, but that's like my kind of more opinion on like the grunge kind of stuff.
I gotta say Nirvana just because my friends and I in our shitty garage band in high school, we would try to learn all the Nirvana songs, and it just, listening to them takes me back to that. It's always a good memory.
Hole. Yeah, Hole is sick. We like Hole, don't get the beef.
Don't beef with me, just don't f***ing start it.
Obviously Nirvana, but I like Dinosaur Jr. quite a lot. It's just like grunge, but with shredding, which is nice. He's got some, like, Jay Mascis has some great lyrics as well. And he has a brilliant custom jazz master. He's signature guitars.
I really like Alice in Chains, and we're right next to Jerry Cantrell's dressing room today, so I'm
as long
happy
as no
about
one
that.
sells Pearl Jam.
Then we're good.
I don't know what he's saying. No one knows what he's
I
saying.
don't know what he's saying.
He don't know what he's saying. If our session drummer could hear me saying this, he'd probably be running at me with like a knife right. He loves me.
But it's fine, he's not. So it's okay.
Sorry, Adam.
I mean, Pearl Jam's nice and all, but I mean, it's Nirvana. It has to be Nirvana. Has to be Nirvana.
Has to be Nirvana. Jayant is the resident grunge expert also. I give it to him.
Has to be Nirvana. Yeah. I really mean it. Like, it has to be Nirvana. Like, Milk It, what a fucking song. It's like people would have been like, why the fuck is this guy screaming? But it goes so well. So I mean, yeah, it has to, for me specifically, it's Nirvana.
Nirvana, hands down. That band
change the world whether you like it or not. Yeah.
The greatest grunge band. It's a really hard one to you know to.
We've been living in a very rock and roll world.
No. I've got this, Ryan. I've got this.
you've
I've
got
got
it?
the greatest
Okay.
grunge band of
Whoa.
all time. And maybe
Well, I'll just back the truck up.
Yeah, you know what? I think you can't pluralize the Lone Ranger, but they were called the Lone Rangers from Airheads, and to me, that
The
is
Lone
number one grunge
Rangers.
band. Yep, and
Pluralized Lone Rangers.
who would win in the fight, Lemmy or God? Trick question, asshole. Lemmy is God.
Chas Darby and the Lone Rangers.
Yes.
Best in the business.
Yes.
Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
Alice in Chains.
Alice in Chains, I gotta say. That's it.
Top five.
Yeah, all around.
Yes, dude. Jerry Cantrell is the
Legendary.
fucking man.
Being on tour with the Melvins definitely has us thinking about grunge and stuff again in a different way. I mean, obviously, like, you know, there's the big four and like they're like grunge, do you know what I mean? And like Nirvana. I think for us, the one we listen to Soundgarden probably the most, I would say. Like, or
Dave Grohl's
yeah.
a big drumming influence for me, but I do listen to a lot of Soundgarden.
Yeah.
Huge Matt Cameron fan.
Yeah. But also,
Love
I mean,
Chris
we
Cornell.
like listen to a lot of Alice in Chains too. Like, I mean, I get a namesake from that band, so I can't not listen to them. And they're also fucking sick. So yeah, a lot of different
Difficult
stuff.
to pick.
Definitely.
Love
yeah.
all of them.
Yeah.
I think the whole grunge era, it influenced so many different bands, and a lot of it was a combination. Especially for me as a vocalist, it's like you can only dream to be as good as Chris Cornell, and you can only dream to outlast them all like Eddie Vedder. So it's like it's a combination.
Or have that haunting, crazy, just emotionalness in their voice, like Lane Staley.
Oh, and
or,
Lane,
yeah.
yeah.
Or Kurt Cobain too. So yeah.
Why do you make us choose? This is unfair.
Yeah, obviously we can't choose, but
But we have to.
Smashing Pumpkins though. That's another
yes,
one.
yes.
Yeah. Although I don't know if they'd be considered grunge, would they? It's hard to you don't want to pigeonhole anything anyway. But like of that same era, they're still out there, still killing it, and we play with them quite a few times. So yeah, pretty cool.
They're from Chicago. Does that count?
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
not
right.
part of the
Does that
Seattle.
count?
Yeah, they're not Seattle. Right? Yeah.
Greatest grunge band? Well, Nirvana. But I love Soundgarden more. Thought Soundgarden was a heavier band, and Alice in Chains was a heavier band too. Fuck, dude. I'm gonna say Nirvana though, just because of what they did and how revolutionary they were for the globe, for the universe, for fucking aliens and shit. Yeah, Nirvana, but I love Alice in Chains and Soundgarden, those because they're heavier.
Probably Alice in Chains. Go Alice in Chains. Obviously, I got love for Nirvana. All of them, really, but I'm gonna go with Alice in Chains.
I'm not into grunge. You probably have more grunge experience than I do.
Even later iterations of it. I remember we were doing that tour a few years ago with like My Ticket Home was kind of bringing it back before, and they had like that sludgy, but it was like a genty grunge thing. But I love that. I love that My Ticket Home.
Would Soundgarden technically be kind of? Yeah, Soundgarden too. Chris Cornell is like something about his voice is like that was like a huge thing for me too. I mean, same with Alice in Chains, like both super distinct vocalists, and I just feel like especially in those two, you could just feel their pain, their sorrow, their sadness, and that whole grungy like Seattle rainy like movement. It's like a big thing, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. Soundgarden would be another one too. Soundgarden's option B, A and B. You can flip. Whichever the edit comes out, that's the one I pick. It's not up to me at this point. Yeah, it's up to this guy. You can't see him, but he sees me, and he's gonna pick it. He doesn't know me, but he knows me well now.
Have you seen Dinosaur Jr. live?
No, there's a band in the UK called Dinosaur Pile Up, and my old band used to be on like a lot of rockier lineups. And every time I was like out in London, because I was young and I was pissed and I was on it, manager would call up, be like, yo, we just got to do this tour. The bill is like this headliner, Dinosaur Pile Up, then you. And because I was drunk, I always thought I was going
Dinosaur
to
Jr.?
Dinosaur Jr.
Sick,
And then I'd
let's
show
do
up
it.
on the first day and be like, who the fuck are you? But no, I haven't seen them live.